gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.
Hello everybody and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is how to swirl paint an Xbox One. And of course, if you need to, there's a link in the description on how to open the Xbox One. So let's get to it. Alright, first thing we're going to do is start off with a brand new razor blade and some good old-fashioned blue tape. And we'll start by prepping the glossy side of the faceplate. Being sure not to leave too much tape hang over the edge because we are going to be putting this back together when we dip it. And taping off the top. Again, not leaving a lot hang over the edge. Sealing it down. Now what I do here is tape over the light indicator. We don't want any paint getting on that and obstructing any light coming through. And next we'll take our ribbon cable and just simply tape that down. Again, we don't want any paint getting on the connections and messing anything up. And what I'm going to do here is continue taping the inside of the opening for the disc. Again, want to minimize anything getting in there. Alright, and here we're simply just going to put a piece of tape across the eject button and controller connect button. Of course, overlapping to where we tape the glossy part. And what I did here is simply seal down the middle first, since that's the important part. And then just stick down the edges. Folding over to your controller connect button. Again, we don't want any paint getting on anything important. And if there's any sort of gaps or openings, you can put extra tape on there, being sure to keep it as thin as possible. Again, we'll be putting this case together whole, before we dip it. As you can see, I had a little gap here, so. And very carefully, just take a razor down the edge of it very lightly and pull off your excess tape. And your finished product will look something like this. Alright, of course next you're going to want to sand the glossy part of the top part of the case. Of course, give your paint something to stick to. And as far as these little ridges go, as you can see, I just took the corner of my sandpaper and just went in between the vents. Of course, rinse it off real good. You don't want any clumps of dust inhibiting any paint from sticking. And you want to let all the parts completely dry. Also, make sure to prime your case. And very important, since you are dipping this in water, you want to have something hooked to it to be able to pull it back out of the water. We rigged this up. That's pretty important. And of course, you want to pick a base color that complements your scheme. We chose fluorescent green. Blam! And now for the fun part. So this is definitely something that I wanted to point out. We've watched a ton of videos on how to do this on a ton of different items, bikes, guitars, all kinds of things. Nobody ever discussed what kind of paint to use. So we figured they were using oil-based paint, since oil and water obviously don't mix. We were having an issue getting water-based paints to float or stay paint-like instead of drying instantly. So as you can see here, we just have an oil-based black that we're dropping in, and then a yellow. And I want to stress that there is no right or wrong way to do this. This is all up to you. If you want big, thick lines, do big, thick lines of paint. If you want little lines, pull stuff like this. We decided that spider webbing and the smaller lines would look best for this application, so that's what we did. As you can see, we lightly pulled it with the tip of the screwdriver across the top of the water until we got a design that we were happy with. Now, as you're getting ready to dip, you want to approach at an angle and dip in a slow, constant motion. If you wanted zigzags, you can zigzag the box back and forth or whatever. We wanted what was on top of the water on the box, so we decided just to dip it in straight. And get all the paint from around the top of the water. You don't want it reapplying as you pull it back out. Make sure not to touch the sides or the bottom. And again, let it dry. Now for the easy part. Again, for this, as you can see, I just taped up all the important parts: the controller connect button, the ribbon cable, the eject button. We'll be applying clear coat, so I don't want anything inhibiting any of the buttons from working. It should look something like this. This is what I use. I'm not endorsed nor affiliated anyway with Rust-Oleum, but I just like this stuff. A couple of coats of this, it really looks professional. Although I am open to sponsorship, so if anybody from Rust-Oleum sees this, I do need a new camera, and I really do love this stuff, so. Of course, just very carefully pick it up and set all your parts and pieces to the side to dry. Now when you're clearing, most of the time you want to start from an edge and work your way into the middle. with a sweeping motion across it, stopping your spraying as you get to the edges, and then starting again as you sweep back across. Again, as you can see, the paint sticks work really well for picking things up and being able to maneuver them around and get them to their final spot to dry. Again, starting from the edges and working your way in. See, the paint sticks work really well. So we've taped up the important part. I chose not to tape up the glossy side of the faceplate like we did when we first started this, only because it was a clear coat, and I wasn't really worried about it covering anything up. And once that all dries, and once it's completed, it should look something like this. Alright everybody, thanks again for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more projects like this and much more that we have planned, hit that subscribe button. Special thank you to PuddingFlinger for helping me out making this video. Stay tuned for more.